a South American blowpipe like the ancient Aztecs like to use. I'll put it away before anyone else stumbles across it. May I interrupt you for a moment?
Why, sure. Need some tips regarding your unkempt hair? I definitely see great potential there, but the missing hand of a professional is clearly visible.
My hair? No. Don't you usually do dogs and cats?
That's true, but hair is hair. And when I see such a problem case like you, I'm forced to interfere.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and maybe I'll come back to your offer later, but I am here for another reason. I'd like to help in the search for Mr. Fumbleclaw, Lady Diane Longbottom's cat. Surely you know which cat I mean.
Oh no, please don't remind me. Ever since that poor cat disappeared, I am a nervous wreck. That's a total disaster.
So you know who I'm talking about?
But of course, snow white hair, voluminous, no split ends, oh, one of the most beautiful cats I had ever had the pleasure of styling, or had planned to do.
What happened?
Well, I had almost completed all preparations for another hairy work of art. The water had almost the right temperature. The battery of my mobile cat hairdryer was almost charged. Comb and scissors were arranged in perfect symmetry on the dressing table. The meditative pet relaxation music was playing at the perfect volume. And all that was left to do was to take one last creative cigarette break.
Then what?
And then, after the nicotine began to unleash its full creative energy, and I wanted to start working, no trace of Mr. Fumbleclaw far and wide. I had looked everywhere, really everywhere, and turned my salon upside down 100 times. It is a total disaster, and the first time that one of my protégés was lost.
Well, that's why I'm here. I hope very much to be able to help you in the search. Would you mind if I took a look around the salon and the surrounding area?
No, of course not. Feel free to look around everywhere. It is not impossible that I have overlooked something. I am almost blind, you know. One of my last guests was, well, a little uncooperative. And I still have half a can of hairspray in my eyes.
Ouch. I mean, that sounds painful.
You have no idea. Since the pain has subsided to some extent, I see colors that I didn't know before. Which is a real problem in my job. I can't deliver a brown dog in black. That would not be very good for my reputation. So now I'm standing here in the fresh air.
Next to a garbage can wrapped in cigarette smoke.
And wait for brown to be brown again, black to be black again, and white to be white again. After that, I will rejoin the search for Mr. Fumbleclaw. And if you have any questions, whether about Mr. Fumbleclaw or about the possibilities of your hairstyle, just ask me.
Thank you. I will. Great. Now my pants pockets smell like dog urine. A traffic camera. It's aimed at the street, right in front of Ricky's pet salon. Maybe the camera recorded something that could help me find Mr. Fumbleclaw. I should ask Ricky about that.
Yes, do you still need help with your hairstyle?
Can you possibly tell me something about the traffic camera up there? Could it have recorded something?
That's honestly a good question. The camera was installed up there a while ago to keep an eye on the traffic offenders of this street. For some reason, the area has gradually evolved into a paradise for aspiring Formula One racers. And when crossing the street, it has become a pure gamble whether you will reach the other side of the street alive before the start of the next race.
Sounds like a dangerous place to be.
You have no idea. This used to be such a quiet neighborhood here. And I pray that the runaway Mr. Fumbleclaw did not attempt to cross the street.
That would be bad indeed, but let's think positively. Surely there's a very simple explanation for his disappearance. I'd still like to know what was going on outside your salon at the time of the disappearance.
You think the camera might have recorded something important?
Yeah, that would be logical. If you've already thoroughly searched your salon, it's not impossible that the cat escaped through the open door. Perhaps he's disappeared into one of the surrounding back alleys and is now waiting to be rescued. Do you really have no idea what the recordings could tell me? Have you possibly been busy here in the camera area for the last few days?
Oh no, the camera would probably just show me standing here maintaining my nicotine level.
Alright, in any case, I should take a look at the camera's recordings.
That could be difficult. The camera belongs to the city and is therefore part of the city's traffic monitoring network. Therefore, the records are certainly archived in the nearby police station. You would have to break into the probably best secured building in the vicinity, sneak past the best trained police officers in town, outsmart the most advanced surveillance system in the immediate vicinity, and then make a copy of the surveillance tapes without being noticed.
You say that almost as if it were a major problem. I am quite creative in solving such problems, you must know. At the end of the day, this is about rescuing a helpless cat. I'm happy to take any risk for that.
I think that's great, really, and I really hope that your research will be successful. You will have plenty of time to think about it in the prison cell.
But what did I just tell you? Think positively.
Sorry, you're right, of course. I apologize for my cynicism. Nicotine withdrawal is getting to me. I wish you good luck with your research. And please, definitely let me know if you find out anything.
Good. A pair of sharp scissors in your pocket. What could possibly go wrong? A wheel for hamsters. Good. I'm sure I'll find another hamster who will be happy about it. A pretty dirty trash can. Someone seems to have disposed of a spray can in the trash. My days as a graffiti artist are actually long gone, but I still like the aroma of paint thinner in the morning. So now the black monster became a brown monster. Ugh, I hate spiders.
The fluorine antimony acid concentration is still too low. I still need a little more.
No, Susie would notice and steal a little child. That being said, Susie has to All right. Let's make sure that Susie's dream of a monster movie comes true. And at the same time, and I'm pretty sure of this, save Mr. Snuggles' life. Come to Papa. And in you go, you nasty spider. Ta-da! What a great special effect on 8 legs.
Hey, what are you doing? Hands off my experiment. I still need the hamster.
What hamster?
What the heck? Where is my hamster?
Hamster? You mean the one that just turned into that nasty monster right before my eyes?
Excuse me? Please don't pull my leg. Are you sure?
I'm telling you, I wouldn't lie to a child. 1 second he was there, and the next he looked like... whatever that is.
Really?
Really?
Wow! That means my last formula for Mr. Snuggles' food addition actually worked. Oh, I still can't believe it. I have created a monster. Fantastic. I think I'm about to faint. Yay! 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 Yes!
I guess congratulations are in order. Sounds like you're a big step closer to your planned monster movie.
You have no idea what this success means for my project. Mr. Snuggles' transformation into this monster tarantula was the missing piece of the puzzle.
So it doesn't bother you that the monster is so small and lazy?
I admit that the final result is not quite ideal. But the size can be compensated very easily with a suitable camera setting. And as for the movements, I'll have to resort to subtle CGI effects. But just on a minimal level, really. The effects in my movie should still remain practical in nature and CGI only where there really is no other way.
Sounds like your masterpiece could be in theatres soon.
Hopefully soon. Yes, because of the expanded CGI effects budget, I'm facing an awkward conversation with the movie's producer for now.
Producer?
My father.
Oh, I see.
Yes, somehow he still thinks I should just make my movie with clay puppets. With clay dolls. How old am I? 4? Unfortunately, I really can't avoid modelling and visualising planned CGI scenes in the modelling clay first. As a rule, however, Father is quickly convinced when he sees my visions before his eyes. So it's just an annoying formality.
Great! Sounds like you've got everything under control. And I'm pretty sure that one of the legs of your hamster spider just moved.
Really?
I already said it before. I wouldn't lie to a child.
Great! But now, I really have to get back to work. Unfortunately, my supply of modelling clay is almost gone, and I urgently need to produce new clay.
Can't you just send Rumstone out to buy some?
You can't just get movie modelling clay at the store. It has very special requirements. It must not melt away when the cameras are running. No, I prefer to make it myself. I'm pretty good at chemistry, you know. And I strive for perfection in all areas of my movie.
Then have fun!
Thanks. Then, though, I still don't really understand what you actually want here in my room. I don't think you're much good as a pizza boy.
A half-full box of delicious donuts. This is a fold-out brochure with portraits of the most wanted criminals in the region. Very creepy. Good day, I'd like to report a missing cat.
Good day. Excuse me, a missing cat? This is a police department, not an animal shelter.
Yes, but it is a real emergency. Lord Fumbleclaw's been missing for several days and his family are very worried.
What? A real lord? Then what's all this nonsense about the cat? Inspector Craddock is responsible for noble missing persons cases. However, like me, he is currently very busy and has little time for new cases.
Is the inspector available now? Sounds like he's the right person to talk to about Lord Fumbleclaw's case. I have some clues from the cat's hairdresser that I would like to discuss with the inspector.
Hairdresser? And a cat again? My good boy, you're not under the influence of any substances by any chance? I'm sure I still have a youth education sheet of why drugs are evil lying around here somewhere.
No, I don't do drugs. Lord Fumbleclaw is the cat's name. Can I speak to the inspector now, please?
So now we're back to the cat. I already said that the inspector hardly has time for new cases at the moment. And as sorry as I am, with your blue-blooded animal, missing cats are not really a high priority.
Couldn't I at least have a quick word with the inspector?
Sorry, at the moment that is out of the question.
Perhaps the person in charge of the city surveillance camera would be available to talk to.
That would probably be Sergeant Paul. But Sergeant Paul is also very busy at the moment and has no time for such trifles as a missing cat.
Trifles? I guess you're not a big animal lover.
Nope, I'm allergic to anything that has hair. So, as I said before, Inspector Craddock is currently investigating an important case of vandalism at the Longbottom family estate. And it is quite simple that the real crime has priority with us. Before any missing pets.
I understand. Vandalism at the Longbottom's estate. Is there anything known about it yet?
Are you seriously asking me that? I can't possibly pass on knowledge about the status of the investigation to uninvolved parties.
I'm not uninvolved.
Excuse me?
I mean, I'm not uninterested in the case. I am, well, also something of an amateur detective.
I bet you are. Still, why don't you leave the police work to the real police? And if you really have something to contribute to the case, you're welcome to make an appointment with the inspector for next week.
But it's really, really important that I talk to the inspector now.
Not a chance. As I said, we are all very, very busy here. Now please, don't waste any more of my time. I have important things to do.
All right. I will be back.
I bet you will.
Through the window, I can see the street in front of the police station. I can smell the stinky trash from the outside all the way over here. Yuck. The window belongs to the police station. I can see the police officer through a gap in the window. Now I feel much safer. You never know if you ever meet a wild elephant.
Yes? Is it?
Thank you.
Of course, I'm always... And always... Hey, what do you think you'll get out of here?
Oops. I think the window is made of... Assaulting a police officer with a dangerous weapon. What could possibly go wrong?
Ouch!
Sweet dreams. I'd better destroy the weapon of crime. Casino Royale by Ian Fleming. I think Constable Smith's birthday is coming up. He drew a small donut with a candle in the 12th box, but no idea which month the calendar page shows. Unfortunately, I don't know Japanese. The code input field for the door control. I think the door is open now. And once again, I am very impressed with myself. An antique Polaroid camera from the late 80s. I knew the police had a tight budget, but that is a bit over the top. I don't think anyone will miss this museum piece here. I should really charge the battery. The door is firmly closed, and judging by the stickers on the door, entering is dangerous to life and limb. Inspector Craddock, may I interrupt you for a moment?
Who the heck are you? What are you doing in my room?
I'm Scott, the new recruit from the police academy. I'm supposed to do an internship here.
Oh, okay, I see. Did Deputy Chief Paddington send you?
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Good boy. The honourable profession of police officer is an important service to society.
I hope to learn a lot here.
That's what I like to hear. Ready for your first lesson?
Of course. What do I need to know?
Keep your hands off the so-called modern technology and stick to pen and paper.
Why?
Because the so-called modern technology will only keep you from your real work. See that grey box there on my desk?
Your laptop?
Yes, laptop. I think that's what today's youth calls it. Well, Detective Chief Paddington has ordered me to type up my report on the Longbottom incident on this devil machine. And it is hell. Pure hell.
What exactly is the problem? I'm pretty good with this infernal machine, you know?
You are? Well, I guess that's the privilege of youth then. I have worked in this agency for 35 years, but have certainly aged another 35 years in the last 2 days.
Have you ever tried using more than just your index finger to type your texts?
You mean a second finger? No, I have to perfect this one finger first. After that, I may think about another trick and consider a second finger. But it doesn't really matter. You certainly don't want to hear an old man whining around here. You are here to learn something.
You mentioned the name Longbottom. Is that your current case you're working on?
That's right, but actually that's strictly confidential. But since you are a colleague, I can probably talk to you about it.
Longbottom. Baron Longbottom.
Exactly. I'm investigating a case of extreme vandalism, predatory theft, and the suspected kidnapping of the family dog.
Wow, that sounds pretty bad. Do you already have a suspect?
No, not yet. I'm still at the very beginning of the investigation. However, I would certainly be significantly further along if this grey devil's box didn't stop me in my tracks.
I think you are right.
About what exactly?
You should perfect the one finger first.
Weren't you a proponent of two-finger typing just a moment ago?
That's true, but it sounds like you have an important case there. You better not take any chances when writing your reports.
Yeah, you're probably right. Deputy Chief Paddington can get very displeased with misspellings in my reports.
Yeah, exactly. Can I ask a few more questions in relation to your case?
Yes, you can, but please keep them short. I have a lot to do.
An interesting outfit you're wearing?
Do I detect a hint of sarcasm there?
No, I'm serious. It looks very, well, Interesting.
Yes, I admit that my clothes may seem a little out of time.
I wouldn't say that. I still come across your outfit quite often these days.
Really?
Yeah, especially in movie and television.
That was sarcasm, right? You are quite cheeky for a newcomer. But let me solve this riddle for you.
I am curious.
A few years ago, we had this difficult case. A case that seemed unsolvable. A case that made me despair.
What was it about?
The details don't matter. Now, don't interrupt me any further.
Sorry.
Good. Okay. Where was I?
Unsolvable case. Desperate inspector. I shouldn't interrupt.
Right. So the case. I must have spent 6 months or more poring over files, interviewing witnesses, and sifting through evidence. I was hopelessly stuck. Until that fateful birthday party for Constable Smith.
The one where the firearm use got out of hand?
No, that was a year later. The party I'm talking about was a theme party.
Theme party?
Well, you know, a party with a theme, where you dress up in costumes according to the theme.
Ah, I see. And you were Sherlock Holmes?
Right. Yes, the motto was, "People who inspire us." Interestingly, half of the participants came dressed as our police chief. As if this would benefit their career in any way.
You didn't think much of such well-placed sycophancy.
No, I like my position. I don't want to be promoted at all. Not to mention that our boss might inspire me to quit rather than anything else. My biggest inspiration since childhood was, and still is, the greatest detective of all time.
Ben Matlock.
No, damn it, of course not a TV detective. I'm talking about a real legend. Sherlock Holmes. Who else?
I'm pretty sure I've seen Sherlock Holmes on television before.
You're starting to interrupt me again.
Sorry.
Drat, where was I?
Unsolvable case. Desperate inspector. Theme party. Sherlock Holmes is real. I still should not interrupt you.
Right. Well, the party was already in full swing, and I had probably had one ale too many. So I fell asleep peacefully. I don't really know where exactly. And all of a sudden, bam, there he is.
Who?
Sherlock Holmes. Standing there in a dream before me. What an honor. I mean, I know that the master detective has been dead for a long time.
Or never lived.
But he was so real. And now comes the best.
I can hardly wait.
He only said 2 words to me. Cotton candy.
Cotton candy?
Yes, cotton candy. And there it was. The solution to my case. Finally. The solution was as obvious as it was trivial. Sweet, sticky cotton candy.
Yum. What was the case about again?
Sorry, since you're new here, I can only tell you the solution for privacy reasons. No further details.
Too bad. And let me guess. Since then, you're convinced that your costume at the theme party whispered the solution to you. As if the ghost of the fictional or non-fictional Sherlock Holmes has entered you.
When you put it that way, it sounds kind of ridiculous. But yes, in principle, you're right. I've been wearing this outfit to work day after day ever since. And you know what? I am convinced it has made me a better detective since then.
You really wear this outfit every day?
I have 7 of them, 1 for each day of the week. And solving my cases has been a lot easier for me since that fateful day full of alcohol and mystery.
Wow. A great story.
Think of it as your first lesson with us. Whatever inspires you to do a better job than everyone else, stick with it. And just ignore the wry looks of society or the snickers of your colleagues.
So you really think I could do my duty as Captain Kirk of the Enterprise?
Well, I don't know, said Captain. Must be from another precinct.
Yes, another world, so to speak.
Well, if that Captain Kirk makes you a better police officer, then you should also do your duty as Captain Kirk.
Great! Can I have that in writing, please? In case my supervisor doesn't want to believe me.
Gladly. But please come back later. At the moment, I still have so much to do.
All right, and if you get stuck, just take a little nap.
Why do you new recruits always have to be such smartasses?
Any other interesting cases lately?
Well, yes, quite. Crime never sleeps. Why exactly are you interested in my cases?
Research for an essay at the Police Academy.
Ah, I see. Well, I'm happy to share my knowledge with our junior staff.
So there were interesting cases.
Indeed. For example, we have that traffic rowdy who ran a red light and was immediately caught on a traffic camera. The man was wearing a ski mask, had masked the license plates of his cars and made an obscene gesture towards the camera, in the hope that we could then not prosecute him.
I guess this plan didn't work.
Right. This criminal genius did the math without my magnifying glass.
So you really still use a magnifying glass?
Of course. Even if my new colleagues smile at me a bit because of this, this well-worn tool has always served me well. And so too, this time with a tenfold magnification of the photos taken by the traffic cameras.
But now I am curious.
You must know that such a camera always takes 2 photos at a traffic light. One from the front and one from the rear of the traffic offender's vehicle. And a small but at 10 times magnification well-readable sticker was emblazoned on the rear of the vehicle. Bob's Plumbing Service, including full address and phone number.
Haha, that must have been expensive for Bob. I guess Bob is 1 card shy of a full deck.
Probably not, and once again I could prove to my colleagues why even in the 21st century, a magnifying glass is still the most important tool of a police officer.
Thank you. Great how you solved the case. It was very educational. Do you perhaps have another story for me?
Of course, it's nice to see how inquisitive our young police officers are. My magnifying glass has also served me well on another case.
Oh, another magnifying glass case. These are my favourite.
A few months ago, there was this series of burglaries with theft and vandalism. The thief, fully masked, entered various apartments in a suburb of our beautiful city.
Another masked criminal genius. Was it Bob, perhaps?
No, Bob had an alibi. That's where we checked first, of course.
Ah, too bad. I thought I might have solved the case.
As I said, Bob was not the one, but it's nice to see that you're already trying to apply the knowledge you've been given. Keep it up, then you'll complete your training at the police academy in no time. But back to the case.
I am curious. Hopefully it will be as educational as the last one.
So, where was I? Oh yes, the series of burglaries in February this year. Well, the last house in the series was entered by the thief at night. So it was pitch black. And of course the thief didn't turn on any lights. However, he had to be able to see something. So he pulled out his cell phone, activated the display, and set it to full brightness.
And was promptly photographed by the pet camera.
Right. Nice to see that you're following. Except that this recording wouldn't have done much in itself.
Because Bob was masked.
I told you it wasn't Bob. But yes, because of the mask, his face was not visible. And yet, thanks to my magnifying glass, his face was clearly visible.
Now I am confused.
Bob the thief had misused his cell phone screen on full brightness as a flashlight, as mentioned earlier. And 3 guesses what was clearly visible as a background image on the display of his cell phone when magnified 10 times.
A picture of Bob?
Now just stop with Bob for a minute. But in fact, the thief had put a self-portrait as the cell phone wallpaper.
Ha! What an idiot. And presumably the portrait was also found in the criminal file.
That's exactly how it was. The crook was well known to us. And once again, my beloved magnifying glass was able to solve a case in no time.
Who would have thought that this antique piece of analog technology still has such relevance today?
That's just it. You youngsters think the police solve cases with computers and cell phones, just like in those TV shows.
So all it takes is a magnifying glass with tenfold magnification. And I suppose it continues to help even if the offenders aren't exactly criminal geniuses.
Correct. The combination of tenfold magnification and stupid criminals is a sure win for us law enforcement officers.
Bob would certainly agree with that. Thank you for this fascinating insight into your work. I better go right now and get a magnifying glass with tenfold magnification. Would you have a tip as to where I could buy such a high-quality utensil?
Yes, the best place to try is Bob's Private Eye Retail in the centre of town.
Any progress with your case yet?
Which case exactly are you referring to?
You mentioned something about extreme vandalism, predatory theft, and the suspected kidnapping of the Longbottom family dog.
Which leads me to the question, how do you even know this detail? Do you have anything to do with this?
Me? No! Why would you think that? I know this detail. Because Constable Smith! Exactly! I know that from Constable Smith. The old chatterbox from the front office of this precinct said you'd been working on the Longbottom case lately.
Constable Smith? Really? Damn, so this stain on our guild has done it again.
I guess so. He was really extremely talkative.
Yes, that sounds like him. And if he weren't the police chief's nephew, he'd probably be flipping burgers in a chip shop by now. I'm going to go over to him right now and give him the monthly telling off.
That wouldn't help much at the moment. I think he's taking a nap right now.
He's what? Damn Smith. But strictly speaking, my time is actually too valuable to waste on this disgrace in police uniform. I have far too much work here for that.
About your work again. So there's been no breakthrough in the Longbottoms case?
No, I already said in our first conversation that I was still at the very beginning of the investigation. And I would probably be much further along if it weren't for that grey block on my desk slowing me down.
If I can help you in any way, please let me know. After all, I am here to learn something from you.
Thank you for the offer. I commend this attitude. But often in police work, sometimes there's nothing else we can do but wait for new evidence. Or new witnesses.
New witnesses? You mean like tips from the public?
Yes, it's not at all uncommon for law-abiding citizens to call our tip line 1-900-677-SHERLOCK, sometimes weeks later, and reveal new details.
The number is really 1-900-677-SHERLOCK.
Yes, and often the last hope for stalled cases.
Good to know.
In the case of Longbottom, I still hope for one or two eyewitnesses. The perpetrator, or presumably even the perpetrators, probably used all kinds of technical savvy and special tools to expertly remove the intercom system, which was firmly anchored in the wall. Certainly in order to sell the high-value parts on the black market and then to buy drugs from the proceeds. And then, obviously among other things because he became an unwanted witness to the action, the perpetrator kidnapped the extremely valuable progenitor of Lord Longbottom's Chihuahua family breed. Without a doubt to beget more valuable offspring from him and also to buy more drugs from these proceeds.
So it couldn't be that little yapper that just ran away through the open gate, only to return remorsefully to his master after a few adventures in the wild? My Dachshund Robbie, may God rest his soul, once ran away for a whole week and was back on our doorstep after 7 days stuffed with food. Probably some neighbour had been feeding him, or he'd stolen some cat food somewhere.
Of course, this cannot be ruled out either. In fact, at the current stage of the investigation, nothing can be ruled out yet. That's why I'm still hoping for one or two tips from the public.
Through the 1-900-677 Sherlock hotline, right?
Exactly. 1-900-677 Sherlock.
Good. Then I wish you continued success. And if you ask me, the thief must have been a pretty muscular guy. Such a large system must weigh quite a bit. And certainly, he was also on site with a large vehicle. Because such a large system doesn't fit easily into your pocket.
I am pleased to see that our young police officers are following. Perhaps there is hope for our profession after all. After all, there's more to being a good cop than just being related to the chief of police.
Thank you. That's all for the moment.
Good. I'm always available with advice and support for our junior police officers.
This is a leprechaun bobblehead doll. When you nudge the doll, the leprechaun wiggles its head in a funny way. An intercom system.
Password?
1208.
Wrong. Get out. Password?
Kitty catty cat?
Wrong. Get out. Password?
Shooby-doo.
Get out. Password?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
Wrong. Get out. Password?
Password?
Wrong. Get out.
I can talk to Sod.
Password?
It turns so green when Spain's flowers bloom?
Wrong. No, damn. That was right. How the hell do you know? Whatever. Come in first.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm the new kid from the police academy. I've got...
Yes, good. Scott, Police Academy, I see. Was anyone watching you?
watching? You mean when I walked in the door here?
Yes, exactly, door. So you weren't being watched, are you absolutely sure?
I don't know exactly. Is that important?
Yes, of course it is. Yes, of course it is. They are all watching you. They are all watching me. We are all being watched.
Are you okay? Should I maybe get help?
Okay. Yes, of course I'm okay. No sun, no oxygen, no people, 12 cans of Red Bull, I'm fine. So you are absolutely sure that no one followed you?
I'm just going to say... yes.
Good. But where are my manners? I'm Paulie, Sergeant Paulie. You can also call me Captain Paulie. From the Starship Paulie.
Sergeant Captain Paulie. Of the Starship Paulie. That's an impressive title. I'm Scott, as I mentioned earlier. Just Scott.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Just Scott. You have to be really careful, though. There are eyes and ears everywhere. The only safe space is this one, Starship Paulie. Here we are, safe from foreign eyes and ears.
So, this windowless room is your spaceship, which has the same name as its captain.
Exactly, that's right. Captain Paulie of the Starship Paulie. That's what my colleagues affectionately call me. Also known in a previous life as Surveillance Specialist Sergeant Montgomery Scott Paul. But that was before this room. This windowless, soulless...
spaceship?
Where was I? Spaceship? You mean Starship Paulie? Do you happen to know Captain Paulie? Was anyone watching you? Was anyone watching you?
Are you really okay? Can it be that you are a little paranoid? I'm certainly not being followed.
Paranoid? I guess so. damn occupational disease. And I used to be such an even-tempered, relaxed and happy boy. At least if I can believe the words of my mother. But that was long before this.
Soulless and windowless space?
Exactly. See, we understand each other. What do you want with Captain Paulie? Did they send you? Are you supposed to keep an eye on Captain Paulie?
Nobody sends me. Well, that is... Yes, Inspector Craddock sent me.
Craddock? Big guy, a little strange, dressed like Sherlock Holmes. That Craddock?
Yeah, that Craddock.
Oh, good man. Good cop. Captain Paulie likes him. What does Craddock want from Captain Paulie?
He, would like, to look at the surveillance videos from Ricky's pet salon this week.
Ricky's pet salon? From this week? Is it still about the stolen chihuahua case?
Yeah, right. The stolen chihuahua. Baron Longbottom's favourite.
Poor thing. Is there any trace?
Well, that's why the inspector needs to see the surveillance videos. Ricky is suspected of illegal, chihuahua trafficking.
Ricky? Really? I can't imagine. The only thing Ricky's interested in is cat hair and Marlboro Lights. But what do I know? How well do you know someone whose life you've been keeping an eye on for 654 days, day in, day out, on a surveillance monitor?
Unfortunately, I can't answer that. I guess Inspector Craddock just wants to exclude Ricky from the circle of suspects.
Oh, yes. That makes sense. Good. This week's surveillance videos, you say? Then hand me the completed release form A38, please.
Release form A38?
Yes, you know. Or the inspector should know. The one with the identification number X44PP.
I'm afraid the inspector forgot to give me that. Isn't it enough if I submit the form tomorrow? The videos would be really important.
Sorry. As much as I would like to do the inspector a favour, rules are rules. No release without form. And of course only with the correct identification number X44PP.
Alright, then I better ask the inspector for the form again.
Yes, I'll be very grateful. Just come back as soon as you have clearance. And when you leave Starship Paulie, please make sure that no one follows you.
You mean upon entering your, spaceship?
Then, of course, too. They follow you constantly. And watch you constantly. Watching Captain Paulie constantly.
May I interrupt again?
Yes, what?
Anything interesting observed lately?
Well, we are all being watched somehow and always at all times. It's fantastic. Surveillance cameras at every traffic light, camera drones in neighbours' yards, black helicopters in the sky. Surveillance is omnipresent.
You are certainly right. It was more of a technical question. Surely it's very satisfying to catch a criminal red-handed through a cleverly positioned camera.
You mean like the vandal who walked into the camera trap at the Longbottom estate and will soon be brought to justice?
Oh, excuse me? Was I? I mean, well, was he?
No.
Excuse me?
That is exactly the point I was trying to make. Cameras are never placed where they would really make sense. Had there been a camera on the tall fir tree across the driveway from the Longbottom estate, the brutal Chihuahua thief would have been caught in the act. But this was not the case.
Thank God.
Excuse me? What's good about it? The professional kidnapper is still on the run, and tomorrow he could add your beloved pet to his collection. No, there's nothing good about it at all. The solution is not less surveillance, the solution is more surveillance. To avoid tempting such crooks in the first place.
Sounds kinda excessive to me.
I get it. When I was your age, I was as naive as you. But first, do the job as long as I have. 13 years in a windowless room, 13 years without oxygen, 13 years...
Of 12 cans of Red Bull a day.
Right, yes. Then you see things a little differently too. Look at it this way. What did nature create big trees like the ones at the Longbottom's estate for? If not for placing a high-resolution camera on its top. How majestic must the view be from up there? High resolution in 3840 by 2160 pixels.
Honestly, that still sounds quite exaggerated to me. And who says that Baron Longbottom's little darling was really kidnapped? The Longbottoms estate is huge, I heard. Maybe the little yapper is catching some mice somewhere at the far end of the property. Or flying bones.
That's exactly the point. We don't know for sure, but we could know for sure. 5 cameras on the group of trees in front of the property, 12 cameras spread around the property, and another 4 or 5 free-floating camera drones above the property. It could be so simple, and would make the work of us law enforcement officers immensely easier.
Well, even though the whole thing still sounds a bit exaggerated to me, I think I'd better trust her professional opinion on this point.
And rightly so. But I'm well aware that my view of things is not the most popular. But if you've been robbed of your hard-served money the first 2 or 3 times while walking in the park with a knife at your throat, and then the 4th time Captain Paulie was able to catch the perpetrators in the act on one of his 12 monitors, then you will certainly thank Captain Paulie for his prudence. Even though you probably won't survive the 4th incident and will have to write your acceptance speech from the graveyard.
Oh, I think I'm starting to get it now.
Great. And remember, wherever you place a camera, they cannot place a camera. And that way, you stay in control at all times and don't have to worry about unauthorised surveillance.
Is that why there are so many cameras mounted here in the room, and also outside the door? Because you were worried about unauthorised surveillance.
Why do you ask this question? Do you think there are too few cameras? You could be right. Good point. I'll set up more cameras as soon as possible.
Will you please leave that alone? These are confidential documents only for the use of officers of this precinct.
Whoops! That's not the new Spider-Man comic? As this restroom has never been visited by a cleaner, I don't have to feel guilty. The sink must be leaking, or one of Ricky's customers has been playing water games here. Right. Coming up, a performance of Whiskey Van Damp with 2 P's, Concerned Citizen. That's where my acting training in the 6th grade school finally pays off.
Inspector Craddock, duty clerk of the anonymous Sherlock tip line. What can I do for you?
Yes, my name is Whiskey Van Damp. Damp with 2 P's.
Yes, Mr. Van Damp. Do you have a tip about one of our cases? And you already know that this is an anonymous hotline?
Yes, indeed. I think I've observed something. Some criminal activity, I mean.
Yes? What exactly did you observe?
Well, I was recently walking with my Labradoodle Fuzzy at the estate of the illustrious Longbottom family. and have observed, I think, highly reprehensible things.
At the Longbottom's estate, you say? That's interesting. Please go on.
Yes, in front of the gate of the property was a black van with tinted windows. And, there were a couple of extremely muscular men in black suits getting out, with sunglasses. And they were tampering with one of the concrete pillars next to the gate, I think.
That is interesting. And then what happened?
Well, my little Fuzzy was already excited. Because you need to know, my little Fuzzy can smell the crime miles away.
That's just great. And what did Fuzzy observe then?
Well, one of these very muscular guys in a black suit and sunglasses went on to unload some weird, highly scientific technical device from the vehicle, and then used it to get to the heart of one of the stone pillars. I'm no expert, but I think they removed some surveillance camera or something. Certainly in preparation for a later, larger coup.
And you could really observe all that?
Yes, well, most of that was actually observed by my Fuzzy. Because I was lying on the leaves of the forest with my nose on the ground, you know. After all, I didn't want to get caught. These guys were really very muscular.
I see. But what you've just told me, you've already seen with your own eyes. Your Fuzzy didn't report that to you afterwards or something?
Of course, Mr. Fuzzy was much too scared for longer conversations after this experience.
Very good. And can you think of any other details? Maybe a license plate or an inscription on the van? Something like that?
Let me think about that. Oh yes, there was something on the van. Something about Bob something.
Bob something? So, like a company name, possibly? Like Bob's Delivery Service or Bob's Sanitation? Something like that?
Yes, a company name. That would be entirely possible.
Great. Have you been able to observe anything else?
No, I'm sorry. After that, I withdrew quietly and secretly. I had no desire for a closer encounter with these crooks. And my wife, Frida Van Damp, had almost finished lunch. And my Frida can get very upset if I'm late for dinner. And that, although she constantly tells me to go to hell. Do you perhaps know my Frida? She was at the precinct downtown a year ago to report the theft of our award-winning garden gnome, Ulf Olaf.
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I don't know Frida or Ulf Olaf.
Well, if you had met my Frida, you would certainly not have forgotten that.
Listen, you obviously have other problems to deal with, and if you have nothing more to contribute to the case, I would like to politely ask you to clear this phone line for other callers now.
Oh, yes, of course. All right. I hope I could help you with your case.
I think you really could. Thank you for your tips.
You're welcome. And if you find Ulf Olaf, please let my Frida know. The little man made of porcelain is the only one who lets my Frida's ranting go over him all day long without talking back.
Of course. We'll be in touch. Goodbye.
Bye.
I really hope I'm not wasting my time now. But it is my duty to diligently follow up on every tip about my cases. In any case, the eyewitness on the phone sounded very trustworthy. And my instincts have never actually fooled me. What did the caller say? The crooks were very muscular? Well, then I'll try my luck first at Bob's Muscle Factory. You wouldn't believe how many Bob's companies there are in the area. I'm sure it's going to be another long day of police work. One hell of a long day. Well, let's get to work.
And the Oscar goes to Whiskey Van Damp with 2 P's. Inspector Craddock is working at a desk with his... Good. This should get me clearance for the surveillance videos outside Ricky's pet salon. Of course, I still have to fill out the form. I better take this one. Without a pen, Inspector Craddock is forced to practice a little more writing on the computer keyboard. It's therefore for his own good. Good. Let's see. Very nice. I think I filled in everything correctly. The identification number X44PP should be the one right outside Ricky's pet salon. And I only had to improvise a little with the inspector's signature. I simply imitated the signature of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Inspector Craddock's a big Sherlock Holmes fan. I'm sure his signature looks similar. I'm sure no one will notice. But now I should also look at the surveillance videos immediately. I'm sure Captain Paulie will be able to help me. And also I think that the refill of the pen is now empty. Captain Paulie, I have the release form here for the surveillance video of Ricky's pet salon.
You have? Then let's see it. An A38 form, correctly filled out at first glance.
That's right, for the release of records in front of Ricky's pet salon.
Yes, well, at least the identification number on the form is the correct one.
Signed by Inspector Craddock.
I'm already a little offended.
Oh, why? That certainly wasn't my intention.
Well, do you really think I wouldn't know Inspector Craddock's signature inside and out after 12 years on the job and after 1,655 clearance requests?
I guess so.
And do you think that in these 12 years you were the first police student who would like to use a forged signature to gain access to highly sensitive surveillance material or access to my armoury?
Well, since you're asking...
And do you have any idea what I say to said police student every time?
Go to hell?
No, of course not. At least not as long as the desired surveillance material has no criminal relevance and clearly falls within the hobby and leisure area of the police student.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you.
Of course, I'm not a monster. I don't want to deny our young recruits a promising career in the police service because of a small mishap. And after all, we all forge our supervisors' signatures from time to time, don't we? But of course, only in order to be able to detect forged signatures perfectly at any time.
In a twisted way that even makes sense.
It does. It's just that I can only deal with such a request, which clearly falls into the hobby and leisure area, in my free time or lunch break.
I understand that, of course.
And in my free time or lunch break, the law, one hand washes the other, prevails. First of all, I'd like to know why you're interested in surveillance videos in front of Ricky's pet salon, and please don't tell me any nonsense this time. And afterwards, I decide if there's any criminal relevance to the matter, or if I'm willing to sacrifice my lunch break for it.
Very well, gotcha. Since every second probably counts and I'd love to use your lunch break services, I might as well tell you the whole story.
Here we go. I'm curious.
So it was like this. Not too long ago, in a one-bedroom apartment far, far away with a raccoon calendar on the wall. And that's why every second counts.
Oh my, sad story. Poor kitty cat. Hope your search will be successful. And I don't think that there are any criminal facts to be recognised here.
Great! Then could I please have a look at the surveillance videos? Pretty please.
Now, please don't get me wrong. And I certainly don't want to give you the impression I'm heartless or anything like that. But do you remember that I mentioned that during my lunch break the law of one hand washes the other applies? Also known as Captain Paulie's Law?
I think I remember that. And yes, of course, I guess that's only fair. Is there anything I could do for you to move my request up to the top of your lunch waiting list position? And that wouldn't take too much time?
Well, if you ask me so directly, there is indeed one thing you could help me with in honest police work. And with that, you'd be assured of the #1 spot on the lunch waiting list.
Then fire away! What can I help with? Every minute counts.
Good. Then I'll get straight to the point. Back there on my desk is a high-performance microphone, developed by a small startup that ate all my savings, and unfortunately has 2 major problems. Problem 1. The thing just doesn't work. The guys in the Taiwanese backyard garage obviously forgot to install the A38 type control chip in the prototype before shipping.
And problem number 2?
Problem number 2 is that, due to the lack of a control chip, the prototype has not yet been finally calibrated. Even if it functions correctly, it would not stand a chance on the market.
And what makes this microphone so special? Every reasonably sorted electronics store has these things in stock for $100.
Not such a marvel of modern technology. The problem with today's surveillance work is that we're only allowed to record what we've been cleared for by the court. And that's why trained personnel like me, a trained lip-reading professional with 3 years of education, are needed.
How exactly should I imagine this?
It's simple. I stare at my monitors, read the lips of the suspects, and then press record at certain key words. You can imagine what that has done to my eyes in 12 years.
You don't wear glasses, do you?
No, but my monitors already have 12 times the magnification. And this is where the invention that's lying on the table back there comes into play, and in which, as I already mentioned, all my savings are invested.
Sounds exciting. A microphone that can read lips.
Almost. First, you feed this marvel of technology with freely selectable keywords or find a predefined topic. Then point the mic at a solid surface such as a wall or a door. And all ambient sound waves hitting said wall or door are analysed and voices are filtered by subject.
And if a conversation is found that fits the desired topic, the recording starts.
Exactly.
Sounds fascinating indeed. So a kind of AI-assisted recording system. You only hear what you want to hear. All the rest is faded out.
That's right. Absolutely unique on the market. And it allows listening around the corner without having to keep an eye on the target person.
Great. Could have used something like that. For example, when talking to my future mother-in-law.
Yes, well, be that as it may. First of all, the prototype has to work. Then it has to be calibrated, and then we'll think about a model for the end customer market.
Good, so what specifically can I do to save your savings and secure insights into the surveillance videos?
Well, as for the missing chip in the microphone, well, that should be quite common in principle, and is often part of high-quality audio equipment. And as for the missing calibration, well, I only have the information that a few authentic recordings on the subject of the upper 10,000 are still missing.
And then we can finally take a look at the surveillance videos.
We can. Promise. Captain Paulie is a man of his word.
Okay, so fixing the broken mic, eavesdropping on some rich guys, and finding Mr. Fumbleclaw as soon as possible. Not necessarily the order I'd hoped for, but if that's the only way, then I better get to work right away.
Thank you, and also thank you for being willing to save my savings. In principle, I would take care of everything myself, but unfortunately I now have a 24-hour shift of lip reading and staring at the monitor ahead of me. And you were obviously in a hurry. Contact me if you have any questions, or were successful. Preferably the latter.
This screwdriver's designed for those exotic Phillips screws found in some modern electronic devices. When I tinker with my computer, I always end up burying these screws in the computer's case, never to be seen again. Very annoying. Since it's here on this table, something's probably broken.
Unfortunately, the micro still lacks the control chip type 888. If you can find one, we'll get this engineering marvel up and running in no time.
A sophisticated marvel of engineering.